Jason Dunhuckle here. I'm making the video to show you a new product from JR, the 8912 servos. They're what they call SHV, which that is super high voltage. They run on 12 volts, so 3S lipos. Why would you want to do that? Basically everything that's good about a servo gets better when you increase the voltage. They're faster, they're stronger, they don't draw as much current because when you up the voltage the current goes down, things like that. So in general they perform really well. There is one situation with them that I found to be a little bit difficult. That's the motivating factor of why we're making this video, is you have a programmer separate that you can use to program the servos. They work pretty good out of the box, but they work phenomenal when you program them to your application. I looked online, I couldn't find anything about them, mainly because the programming is fairly new. And Ernie Mac, one of my buddies in Phoenix, went through this the hard way and was gracious enough to share this info with me, and I thought, well, if it's that hard to find, then you guys need to know, so we're going to make it easy. I'm going to cover this in two-part video. This is part one. On the first part, we're going to do this ID and sub-ID, how you set the ID of the servos. And then the second part, we'll do the parameters. There's some really confusing terms in there, like dumping. What the heck does that mean? Also, I was trying to think of something. There's several different segments of it that just doesn't flow like what we would think. But once you get the idea, it goes really smooth. There was something else I was going to tell you guys about these servos. Oh, they work with pulse width modulation. They're not just X-bus. You can use them in any radio. All the programming is done and stored in the servo, so they obviously work the best with JR radios, but you can use them with other radios too, and they really work well. The centering on them is unbelievable. So let's go on and I'll get started and show you how to program it with the separate programmer. Here we are on the bench. I got the servo programmer, two servos. These are 8912s. The 12 means 12 volt. They're brushless, programmable. This doesn't apply to just these servos. The 8911s use this, and there's some new servos that are coming that also use it. Just using a regular LiPo to power the programmer. It's a 2S. The 12 volt servos will run on 2S just for setting them up. You don't want to do it when you're flying, but for this purpose it's fine. The first thing that really popped out is the sub ID /ID/ what does that mean? What that means is you're assigning each servo to its own function. So if you have a 4 servo set up in your wings, you want to assign 1 through 4, or you can do servo 1 sub ID 1 2 3 4, which makes it more confusing to me, but you can do it. Personally, I just use ID 1 2 3 4 and put them in the wing. Start right side and go to the left, and then obviously you have to assign your channels in your transmitter to do that. It just depends on which radio you're using, on which IDs you'll end up with, on which control. So let's get right to actually programming them. We'll get this out of the way so you don't get confused. This servo will go to center when you plug this in real slow, so you don't want to have it hooked up to something because it'll try to break it in half. Alright, here we go. So the first line is the ID number and the position, 1500 center. That's standard pulse width. So right now is where it gets confusing, is you see the ID, and you can turn this and it changes the ID, and you think that you're actually changing the ID of the servo. You're not. You're actually changing the ID of the servo it's looking at. So what you want to do is you want to turn this to the left, this knob to the left till it says scan mode, and you can hit any of these 4 keys and it'll start scanning. This servo happens to be, it is 001. So that's what pops up. So let's show you how to change it. The way you change it is you got to get the cursor on this F line highlighted, which is keyed down, and then you turn this knob to the right and it goes to servo ID number 1. So what we can do is you cursor over, highlight that 1, and you can change your ID number here. I'm going to put it real high so when we scan you can see it scanning to find it. This 15 will work. Now here's where this kind of gets confusing is I want to go to the next line down, which is sub ID, and you keep hitting this and nothing happens. It's actually you gotta scroll back over to here and then turn this to the right and it'll go to sub ID. So sub ID 1. Once again, cursor over, put that at 4. 4 is as high as it goes. Once again, I'm not using this sub ID. I just leave them at 1. But if you need that many servos, then you can figure out which ones work for you. So I just did it again. I have to scroll back over here. Now that programmed it to 15-4. So we go up to the top ID line, turn this all the way to the left to scan mode, and it'll scan through until it finds a servo. There it is, 15-4. Now you know that you're looking at that servo when you program the rest of it. That's the secret to success, is you got to make sure that you don't try to program it from the ID line. You use that to scan it, and then that's it. So let's go out of, I actually want this to be number 1. When they come out of the box, they're number 1. So I'm going to go to this line, go to ID, go back to the number, and I'm going to run this down to number 1, and then you have to scroll back over here to the F line, and sub ID, I want that to be number 1 too. You can see I'm constantly hitting this thinking that's the up and down arrow. It's not. It's the numbers change with the knob. So we got that. Now it says ID 011, which is what we just programmed it to. It's just to make triple sure. I usually go ahead and scan again. You don't have to, but you can see the idea. Okay, so this servo's programmed for 1. Now this other servo I have programmed for number 4. So we'll plug it in. And then I have the servo plugged in. You can see it's on ID 1. So if we go down through the menus, all the lines are going to be blanked out because it's not looking. This servo that's plugged in is not 1. It's actually 4. So it doesn't. You can't program it because it's not picking that servo up. So that's where the scanning function comes in. You come up here, go to scan mode, hit a key. I have it set on, this one was 13, it's supposed to be 4. I was playing with this to help make the video, so I need to set it again. I know this seems redundant, but it will help you seeing me struggle to put it where I want it. Number 4, sub ID, I want that number 1. And then we go back, and we go up here, scan mode. There it is, 4-1. So that's how you get the sub ID set.